Welcome, everyone. Today's Rotary meeting. George Johnson is going to introduce our speaker for the day.
Our speaker today is Jody Gunderson. Jody is Director of Economic Development for the City of Hamilton. He's been here about 5.5 years. He's a graduate of the University of North Dakota. And in his past life, he worked with Joshua Smith maybe 15 years ago. And he's very happy to be in Hamilton. Jody Gunderson.
So I'm going to do my best to buzz through the first few slides just to give you, because there is a couple of slides that I really would like to focus on. But I was going to pose this question to you, a couple of them. What's the unemployment rate of Hamilton in January 2012? Anyone have a hazard a guess?
8%.
It is 10.4%. It still rings in my head because I came in January of 2012, and that was the highest I had ever seen an unemployment rate in a city I'd worked before. What do you think the current unemployment rate is for the city of Hamilton? 4.9. You know, and what that really says more than anything, and I think you'll get this throughout my whole speech here, is you look at what is our strategic plan. This is what I came into in 2012, and it was very, very deliberate. We wanted people living, working, and playing in the city of Hamilton. The part that Joshua had honed in on, obviously, was the jobs part. We really needed to get some jobs back into this community. And at the same time, this is part of our OGSM, objectives, goals, strategies, and measures. These are things that are, you map out where you want to go as a city and what is the ultimate objective. And it's not attending meetings. Attending the meetings is how you get to what the goal is. But above and beyond really anything is own the outcome. That's something that I heard and continued to hear from our city manager, and so much so that it, I think, rings in my ears. Every year we do an annual report, and really it's us putting out saying this is what we've done this year. Whether it's spectacular or not, I think that you need to tell people where you're going, how you're getting to where you're going, and what you've achieved. And I think this serves us a couple of objectives, one of which is, to tell people, okay, this is where we're at in this process. Because as you can see, you looked at our strategic plan, that was 2012 to 2018. We've got years in between there. It's nice to know that, 3-4 years into a plan, where are you at? Are you about 90% where your goal was, or have you not even started? This year has also been a very good publication for us because we really use it as a marketing tool when we put it in front of other companies. We want them to know that they aren't breaking new ground here. We've got companies. We've got some of the best companies on top of that. And take a look at this report. They've decided to locate in Hamilton. This is the what I would call the quick climb. So in 2012, we really didn't have a whole lot of stuff going on, but things really did pick up. We had Coolants Plus, Center Grid, Valio, Life Ray, ThyssenKrupp, Influx, Midwest Environmental, ODW Logistics, and now it's in 13-14. It just kept going, and it was very obvious at that time. ODW, Interstate Warehouse, Tri-Health, ThyssenKrupp, Belstein, Ames, or Center Grid, Universal Forestry Products, then ODW Logistics in 15, StarTech, Barclay Card. That's where you see those sharp spikes there and a leveling off. But the reality is, even this year, we've had Durana Hybrid, Kirsch CPA is announced as well, and so is Dedicated Logistics. What I would say about this is, what you learn in economic development is there's a lot of variables that go into it, and they're forever changing. And the reason I got the before and after here is because I wanted people to understand that this, if you think you know everything there is to know about economic development, then it's time to retire, because it's always changing. In 1 year, it's one thing is more important than the other. In 2012, labor costs. People want to keep labor costs. They weren't even at all concerned about the quality of the labor. Now, above all we hear about is availability of skilled labor. Highway accessibility, that's always been very important, you know, advanced infrastructure. Labor costs. At one point it was number one in 2012, now it's number 3. And what you're seeing here is really a trend that I think it's a trend that's going to be around for quite some time. And I'll just buzz ahead here, but it gives you an idea. This really is where I would like to spend more of my time on speaking with you than not. You look at these variables here: skilled labor and other professionals, accessibility to highway system, availability to shovel-ready sites, proximity to markets, state and local incentives. I know that there's this, great idea out there that we shouldn't allow people to, offer incentives because, look, they would locate there regardless of the incentive, and that's complete nonsense. Obviously, I'm from the state of North Dakota. Believe me, you have to incentivize people. It is not a one size fits all, and when I hear that, it just makes me cringe, because it's not reality. It sounds good. It'd be great if that were the case. But availability, abundant reliable energy as well. So the number one most important variable for achieve success in economic development, 2017, human capital. It's amazing. We are at the point in time now where a person's brain is a valued item, and the skills that they have. I look back through some of the consultant surveys, and there was a point in time when they would actually ask questions about what percentage or what numbers do you have for unskilled labor. Unskilled. That no one asks that anymore. No one cares. No one needs that. That's what automation has done. It has taken away unskilled labor, and it's really the direction of where things are going. It's really it's back. It's human capital. It's going to be that way for a long time. Now, when I say that what we started in 2012. This is the Joshua term that I hear all the time. It's like, okay, let's pivot a little bit, and okay, what are we going to do? Okay, we've had some good success with some jobs, but it's one thing to win the jobs, but can you fill them? How are we going to fill them? And the reality is of these companies, you hear it not only here in the city of Hamilton and the state of Ohio. I mean, I have colleagues that live throughout the United States. They are utterly frustrated with the lack of skilled labor, and it's really become a competitive advantage for any community that can really deliver on skilled labor. And so really what our pivot has been a little bit more towards workforce development, those people that haven't been in the workforce yet. Existing employees ensure that they have marketable skills. Underemployment, those people that are working in areas, I'm impressed that they're working, but are working in areas, although they possess higher skills than are required for the job. Recruitment and attraction of new talent. I'll revisit that one because I think that one is extremely important for the city of Hamilton. That's not only people coming here to work, but people living in the city of Hamilton. Those people that, I mean, there was a point in time, it was 2010, I believe it was, we had about 6,000 plus people that were traveling out of the city, that lived in Hamilton, traveled out of the city to work. And then there was another 7,000 people that traveled into the city to work and then traveled back out. We had, I think it was like 4,500 people in the city. This is U.S. Census data, 4,500 people that lived and worked in our city. That's great that we've got a mobile workforce. It tells you it's mobile. But if you're really going to benefit through economic development for your investment in economic development, you got to give that worker a right or a reason to live in your community there and be a consumer in your community. So I'm going to revisit that because I gave you a list of those things that have become key variables. Quality of life, amenities, and city attributes. Those are things that we're working on right now. From my perspective, all of those things are extremely important. And I can't say enough about our public safety and what they've been doing to bring Hamilton back. They're a big part. I mean, they're a big part of bringing back Hamilton. Spooky Nook Project, the sports project, in fact, I was at a meeting with them before I came here today. That's really a game changer for this community. And that kind of almost goes down to the corner right image, you know, what people have thought of us in the past. And really, who do we want to be? And I look at some of the existing business expansions, that stuff that we're going to be addressing and be our focus. We've been able to hone in a little bit and be able to concentrate a little bit more on the new types of business attraction from high-skilled business sectors. I like the large energy consumers. That's important for not only, they usually are very good paying positions, but you know, when we get more people or more of our companies using more energy, it really brings down the consumer cost for the average person in the city as well. But cutting edge companies, you know, like Influx and innovators like Kivak and Hamilton Casters and those, I mean, it's amazing. They've been around for quite a long time and they just keep innovating. That's exciting. I like that quite a bit. But I think the key to all this is we're competing for good talent. And I think that in order for us to be successful, we have to understand that we're in a competition. So this kind of tells you what goes on around in my head here. This is what it looks like, and this is why it looks confusing, because that's just when I think, okay, I'm going to address this, then I say, well, to address that, you got to do this. But then this bleeds into this, and it bleeds into this. And you realize that, you know, economic development touches a lot of areas, and if you think you can do it by yourself, you really can't. These are the things that we will hone in on, continue to hone in on, is our focus areas for the city. But, you know, here, I mean, this Team Hamilton right here, I mean, you look at every one of our departments, you look at our elected officials, other agencies within the city. All of this stuff has become, I think, increasingly important, and I maybe not emphasizing it nearly as much as I should, but we are in competition for a workforce, and that's why I said I'll bring it back to where we were before, and I'd say the reason why it's important we're competing for a workforce. Now the workforce has a choice. Where do I want to live? Now you go back to the quality of life. Quality of life, it was way down on the list for the companies, because companies don't make decisions based upon quality of life. But, you know, they make decisions upon, can I find a workforce? Well, if my workforce is here, why are they here? I have to have a good quality of life. That is what people are looking for. That's what they're moving to. So maybe the company doesn't care so much about it. They do care that there's a workforce. So in a lot of ways, you're addressing a workforce that is variable that is considered by a company. So that's one thing that I think always kind of gets lost in the mix. But when you understand there's so much competition for labor, and really, economic development in Hamilton requires a team approach, and I say that, and I truly mean it. We will have partners along the way, especially when it comes to workforce, a number of different agencies, but the Chamber of Commerce is involved in a lot of what we do as well, from marketing to workforce. The same is true with a lot of the other organizations. We just, collaboratively, when everyone is working together, it's amazing the progress that we've made. You can see those jobs. That's a lot of job announcements. I mean, that's staggering. That's because we really do have a great team. This city is a great product to be marketing to any company, but really the people, we have a great team, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. With that, if you have some questions, feel free to.
I think more companies today are considering quality of life when they locate. Think about AK moving their headquarters out of Middletown down to Westchester. And one of the main reasons, one of the big reasons they gave was that we're recruiting talent. The adjacent amenities are so important.
To your point, I mean, maybe that's an instance, but it's a great example, a very succinct example of you knew you could find your workforce there, and what they had in Westchester was something that workforce felt was valuable to locate there. Now all of a sudden the company is going to find them, and it's becoming easier and easier for companies to say, okay, I've got a lot of IT professionals over here. That's why you see Silicon Valley and that sort of thing. People wanting the quality of life there. I mean, Seattle's it's gotten to be like that as well. You see like-minded people living in certain environments, but very much so. Very important workforce isn't very often that a company acknowledges that openly.
How do we plan on addressing the unskilled employees who are still in our neighborhoods? Because they can often be loud voices that are against the progress in our city. So how do we plan on addressing that and bringing them along?
Well, I think that our 17 Strong initiative, I think that's such a very important initiative for the city, because really it's a great sounding board for us. Every neighborhood's very different. Those things that are important in one neighborhood aren't necessarily important in another. And for you to serve up a solution which is a one-size-fits-all, that's when people get the impression, look, you aren't listening to us. That's what I think is very important about our 17 Strong neighborhoods, and that whole infrastructure is for us to be able to get the feedback of what is important. I've been in one area of the city, and they said, look, you aren't placing any jobs in our part of the city. And it's right over in Vora, and for crying out loud, there's like 1,500 jobs going in there. Yeah, but that's not like in the, it's like, well, okay, it's on the street across from your ward or whatever it is, but, I mean, come on. There isn't really a one-size-fits-all for any of these, but I think we're going to continue to listen to what is important, because we want to fill our neighborhoods, and we want to fill our neighborhoods with people that are productive, that'll be a big part of our workforce, skilled, professional, and otherwise. Sean?
The South Hamilton crossing coming over, and that's bringing in traffic, and the folks who work at Bora and Miami. Is there any, I know there's been talk, is there any movement, any kind of retailer or shopping or food or restaurants in that area that everybody's coming in and then everybody's going out? Is there anything happening there?
Yeah, actually, we're working with a developer right now that's looking at doing some residential housing across from the, it's multifamily housing across from the university. They really wanted to push forward on the commercial piece as well, and we wanted to first see what it was like with them as a developer of residential before we were going to dive into on the commercial side of it. But yeah, there's no doubt that road's going to change development in that area, and I think there's a lot of interest there already. Sir?
What's happening with the Spooky Luke in terms of timetable or anything like that?
Well, they're actually in town today. I left my Spooky Nook meeting to come to this meeting. They're in town, if not every week, every other week. We're on the phone with them every week. They're just going through the process right now. If you see trucks over there now, they're doing remediation. We first started with the soils, and we're remediating the soils. Surprisingly, I say surprisingly because it predates anyone thinking about being an environmental. It really wasn't. It was a relatively clean site. They had a couple of bad areas, but it was a relatively clean site. What you see going on now is the remediation of asbestos. That'll go on for a couple more months. They're currently, the project's is being prepared to be submitted for historic designation, and things are on a very tight schedule, and it's going along as we've intended. In fact, the owner, Spooky Nook, and I got some great pictures too. The engineers were up in what he calls the bunker building, those buildings along the edge, and of the hillside there, and he's like got this vision. It's like, I want this. I think this will be great residential, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, hey, look, I'm not going to tell him he's nuts, but man, is he nuts? And then we walked up and went in those things, and it's like, wow, outstanding view. This would be just phenomenal to have a unit in something like that. And I said, okay, I told Sam, I said, I apologize, I thought you were nuts now after being up here. I said, I think it's pretty cool. I think it could be really neat. So it's fun. His level of interest just keeps growing and growing and growing as well. Things are going along as planned. It's just a kind of a, it's a very, very tedious project, and it just takes a while. Thank you.
That's good. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Jody. See you all next Thursday. See ya.